All right, I believe I am officially live. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can. But hello and welcome everybody. I'm Angela and this is the first official Hobby Night live stream. We're going to start with a Q&A and I am very excited. Now I'm going to give a little bit of time before we actually jump into questions and everything for people to join, as I've just put out some notices. But I also had, there we go. All right, I think we're good. So, I'm really hyped for this.
You're good.
Excellent. I have been told by the Chaos Cultist that I am good, which I'm very excited for. Now, I just wanted to thank you guys for showing up. I see that there's already a bunch of you in chat. I do have that open, so I hopefully can see everything. Good. I see that you guys also can see me. Perfect, perfect. So, today, I want to go ahead, let's go ahead and jump over here. Let me switch to my streaming because today we're going to be playing some more Cult of the Lamb. I love this game. It is my current favorite. Let me make sure that I click into the game itself. Cool. Now, does my controller work? It does. Perfect. All right. We're going to get into this. We're going to start getting into some questions. I do have a list of some of the questions that you guys submitted previously. Holy cow, I did not realize, I mean, I kind of realized, but I didn't actually realize how long it had been since I announced that we were going to be doing this. I'm sorry it took so long. But you know what? We have a really cool setup.
We had to move.
We had to move, and it took a little bit of time, a little bit longer than I anticipated, but let's go ahead and jump into the game while we let people join. I'm going to start a new game because even though we have this is the one I did for the Let's Play, it doesn't have any of your guys' names in there, and I am going to be adding you guys into my cult. I hope you're ready. So let's jump into Cult of the Lamb. Now, if you've not seen this, it is an adorable little, like, resource management, like you're managing a town as well as also going and doing dungeon dives and everything and fighting some monsters, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and see this crown, which can't be on two heads. No, it cannot, because it's gonna be on mine. Look at me, I'm so cute. I love, and I talked about this in the Let's Play, but I love the aesthetic of this game. Right now, we're super slow. Oh, I didn't notice that they followed me. That's cute. Oh no, they're just blocking me from leaving. Can I would like to exit? No? Alright. Well, let's go get sacrificed. It'll be fine. How are you guys all doing this morning? Or I guess in the evening for some of you, since I see some of you are from the UK and Germany. Ooh, that's really cool. Ah! And Belgium? Awesome! Kneel to be sacrificed. Alright, fine, I'll kneel. Because before us stands the last of its kind. All others we have hunted down and put to the blade. With this final sacrifice, the prophecy will be impossible to fulfill. The heretic lies below. Yes, yes, the old faith. Everybody's fine. We know what's going on here. I'm going to be slaughtered by a giant kitty man. I hope I can get one of these myself in the game later. I have no idea if I can. Ooh. And now we're in heaven, or purgatory, or somewhere. Who knows? We're gonna go talk to some more cats. I'm also going to briefly switch over to my questions, because I do want to go ahead and, I need to click back into the game, get started with some of those as well.
You want me to read some of these?
Absolutely! If you want to read some of the questions for me, that would be delightful.
Alright, our first question from Kingsby.
I think that's how it's pronounced.
What inspired you to start a YouTube channel and give you the motivation to keep it going?
So, the main thing that inspired me to actually start the channel was I wanted to get my Death Guard army painted up. I talked about this a little bit in my recent top 10 video, where I was going over my favorite 40k. Absolutely, we want to join your cult. When I was talking about my favorite 40k armies, because I had really gotten back into the game. I had started playing 8th edition. Contrast paint had just come out, and I found it really exciting and easy to use. But I was still kind of lacking personal motivation to really make myself get the army painted. So I was like, I've kind of wanted to do a hobby-themed YouTube channel because Jack and I had actually had a Let's Play specific YouTube channel.
Did you almost speak my demon name?
I did almost speak your demon name. I know, terrible of me. We had a Let's Play channel, and it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't really growing in the way that we had wanted, and so we were looking for other opportunities. So between wanting to get my army painted up, wanting to focus on doing something different for YouTube that was a little bit more hobby-oriented and art-related, because that's what I went to school for, and I was really just wanting to find a way to get back into that, because I had not been doing art for a long time. It was really bumming me out, like more so than I even realized until I'd actually started the channel. So what ended up happening is I was like, okay, I'm going to use the channel as a way to get my Death Guard painted. And then the pandemic hit, like right as we started it. I think it was like a month or so later. And so I really just focused on that, focused on getting what I could of my projects that I had currently available done. And it just expanded from there. We added in news and all sorts of things. It was really cool. I was very excited for it. Fear not, I am Ratau. I also picture this little rat man as secretly a Tau mech, by the way, because of his name.
For the greater good.
For the greater good!
I will try and speak up, because I know I was quiet before.
Oh yes, so sorry.
Alright, continuing with a couple other questions from Stainsby Kingsby.
Yes.
What has been your favorite model to paint, as well as what is the model you've always wanted to paint?
Ooh, okay, so that's a really good question. At this point, I feel like I've painted a bunch of models, but my favorite, I think, is still to this day Abaddon. Okay, it's twofold. It's Abaddon first and foremost because he is the closest I think I've ever gotten to really nailing the grim, dark aesthetic that Games Workshop is sort of known for. And it was really cool to me to actually accomplish that because it's really the antithesis to my own personal style. I like much brighter colors, but I really tried with him to go with a little bit more of a traditional method of painting, as while still using my contrast colors, but sticking to a little bit more muted color tones, dirtying things up a little bit more, and that kind of thing. And then the other one that I really enjoyed the most, which path do I want to take? I think I'm gonna go up first. The other one that I really enjoyed the most was, this was the way I went, was the Auric that I recently painted with the Contrast 2.0 colors. Like, I don't know what it is about that particular model, but he just looks so freaking cool to me. I think it's because that, like, orcs in general, but that model in particular, really worked with my contrast colors in just stunning ways. That armor, oh my god, with that yellow, like, it's so good, you guys. Like, I cannot hype up enough the new yellows from the Contrast 2.0 line. I don't care which one you get, it doesn't really matter because I think they're all roughly similar to each other. There's some like very minor differences, but you can probably achieve the same effects with all of them. Any of them are fantastic. Did I answer both questions?
And the miniature that you wanted to paint.
Oh, the miniature that I wanted to paint. Okay, for the miniature that I want to paint, it's probably Mortarion. I think I'm basically ready to go ahead and do that. Between having an airbrush now and feeling confident in using it, and also I have painted long enough that his scale doesn't intimidate me as much. I think between doing the Void Dragon and a couple of these other, like, more complicated models, it's really built up my confidence. Which really just is how you do it, right? You just build your confidence up by continuing to keep painting. Oop, this is a dead end. Let's go this way then.
Our next question comes from Robert Gamble.
Alrighty.
When and where and what? When, where, and what was the first miniature-based war game you ever played?
Okay, so the first miniature-based... I did not game a whole lot when I was a kid. It's actually something I kind of regret, but it's not specifically my fault. I just didn't have anybody around that was super into it. So the first miniature war game that I actually played was in college. I had joined my local, or my college's, Tabletop.
You're going to date yourself.
I am going to date myself. That's fine. I'm old, guys. I'm old.
Not good for the brand. Shut up.
I mean, I'm definitely super. Yes, we're gonna just leave it there. So, in college, I played 5th edition? Was it 5th edition? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I jumped into my first war games with 5th edition Warhammer, with the Crimson Fists, and then I guess, I may have technically...
Hold on, I'm gonna adjust audio.
Oh, okay. How is that?
That should be better.
Good. Is this better for you guys? Hopefully, let me know in the comments if we have properly adjusted the sound for you. But yeah, so the first war game that I ever played was Warhammer 40k. It was in Gamers Guild at my local college, and it was a lot of fun. And then I kind of just dived headlong from there. Did I answer the full question?
Yes, I'm gonna dip the volume one more time.
Okay.
Just because it's not really the focus after all.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, we're just doing this to pass some time while I talk with everybody. Sacrifice. No, don't worry. I will save this little donkey. The bishops of old faith, we ask you to accept this sacrifice of this wretched soul. I want to know, I think the guys in the capes are also animals.
Aren't they all animals?
I think they are.
I mean,
but
what
none
else
of
could
them
they be?
none of them are lamb. Well, none of them are lambs though.
Lambs are animals.
I know but we're special. I'm a special animal in this. All right, bring on more questions as I murder these. I think they're worms.
All right. Next question comes from Sage Traveler.
Okay.
How did you and the Chaos Cultist first get into the hobby?
Ooh. Okay. Well, I mean, I got into the hobby through the Gamers Guild at college. I had known about gaming up until that point, but like I said, I never had anybody really involved in my life that was showing it to me. Like, I played the Hasbro Classics, and then I think I had played literally just that. Yeah, I think it was just the Hasbro Classics. So I really got introduced to, I would say, like, the hardcore hobby side of it when I got to art college. Saw people painting models, saw people playing, and kind of was like, well, I know what D&D is. I've heard of RPGs, but I've never done any of that, and I'd love to. And it just exploded from there. What about you?
I was there when the first dodecahedron was carved from the rock.
I mean, that makes sense.
Which chaos god do I, the Chaos Cultist, most like? And which is your favorite, Angela? I am undivided before the 4 great powers. Listen, swearing yourself to any one of the 4, that's how you get yourself turned into a spawn.
I mean, he's not wrong. However, I have, in fact, sworn myself... I feel like I'm torn because, on one hand, I've definitely sold myself to Slaanesh. But on the other hand, Nurgle has a firm grip on my soul. So I think I'm divided between the two of them. Although my favorite still is Khorne, because as I said in my list, he's very straightforward. You know exactly what you're getting with him. Really, I mean, Tzeentch's... I like all of them. I'm going to be undivided too. I'm going to change my answer and I'm just going to be undivided as well.
I don't know if Slaanesh will enjoy that.
I'm lying, and it's she who thirsts all the way.
Wait, lying? That's Tzeentch.
Oh shit! I mean, I am telling the truth right now. Now you don't know. It's Slaanesh. Let's be honest, guys. It's Slaanesh.
Yes. Someone in the chat asked if you have an exclusive devotee account.
I, in fact, do.
And we will leave it at that.
Yes, and we will leave it at that.
Look through her links if you need to find it.
Yes, you can actually find it through my link tree. There is a link in my channel about, and you can find it on Instagram and Twitter and all sorts of places.
Yes,
there's plenty of access.
Your only Fanatics account, where it's only small goblins with giant chain balls.
Exactly.
Yes.
The biggest chain balls.
Oh my. All right.
We did that in 8 minutes. That's probably a very excessively long time because I was talking mostly.
Are you ready for more questions?
I am absolutely.
More?
No. I'm ready for more questions. We're just coming into the village. We're gonna play on medium.
As I say, don't play easy now.
Aw, but look how happy the hat is. It's got a little flower.
The one on the right is very happy.
I do like this one. We're not playing on extra hard. I'm okay at this game, but not the best at this game. All right. Continue with the questions while Rap2 tells me about my cult.
Cthulhu on Cam asks, what's your favorite army in Warhammer to play, and lore-wise? Note, they do not specify 40k or otherwise.
That is fair. So, to play, it's definitely the Death Guard. They're the ones that I've played the most. I really like castling. It is the best. And I really like my thick, chonky boys. They're just fun. Plus, the models are delightful, and it's partially biased because when I got back into the game during 8th edition, they had a whole new spread of models, and I definitely knew I wanted to go Chaos because I had previously done Imperium, and I didn't want to just jump back into Space Marines because I don't know, I like Space Marines, but I sometimes find them a little bit dull to play because they're so uniform sometimes, and just, I don't know, I've fought them a lot, so I don't want to be another person just fighting Space Marine versus Space Marine, even though technically I'm still doing that. Aren't I? Yeah, I guess I am. And then as far as the one lore-wise that I like the most, it's the vampires in Warhammer Fantasy. I think between them and their relationship with the Empire, yeah, it's the one that I like the most. Yeah. Which is funny because I've actually not even read that much about them, but I've watched a lot of lore videos about the Von Karsteins. I said their name completely wrong. And I've never even played Warhammer Fantasy, which I'm super bummed about. I wish that I had played it more when it was still around, when I was in college, because we just didn't have a lot of, like, I don't know, I just feel like there wasn't a lot of people playing it actively.
I was the only person I knew who had an army.
Yeah, I think that was the problem, is everybody at the club, with the rare exception of, like, Chaos Cultist, and I think there was, like, one other random person who did not stick around for very long, who had, like, a fantasy army, and it just didn't go.
Yeah, I know who it is. I don't want to dox them.
Yeah.
Alright, you have a couple of questions from the chat.
Oh, excellent.
Actually.
Yes, let me do that. And this first person is going to be Kingsby, because we're going to base these off of people who are asking questions.
Alright, so from the chat, Robert asks,
yes,
have you had model blindness where it has gone wrong?
Do you mean, like, where the model has just, like, I've built it wrong, or I've painted it just in a way that I'm like, oh god, when I pull away?
I think it's more the latter, of, like, you don't quite realize what you're painting, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh god, that cloak with those pants, or something like
I
that.
have absolutely done that, yes. I have definitely painted some stuff and gone, oh, that's absolutely not part of their clothes, that's part of their hair, or something like that. It happens more on some of the older models, I feel like. Especially with Games Workshop's current stuff, I feel like it's a little bit more defined. But I've definitely done that. I'm going to give you that. We are going to keep you as the animal that you were. You are gullible, so you're easy to level up, Kingsby, if you're in the chat. I don't actually know. And then you're also naturally obedient. This is the perfect first.
That's a good.
This is a perfect first. You will not die. I will resurrect you as soon as I get that doctrine. We accept you. Join my cult, sir!
I like the t-shirt.
Isn't it great? Merch is something that I have kind of thought about, but I don't know what I would do for it.
A2 has the next question.
Excellent.
Which Horus Heresy army would you collect? Or are you collecting, I should ask?
Okay. All of them.
No?
He says no, but, you know, I can control that. No, genuinely though, I think I've been really enjoying painting Imperial Fists in the Horus Heresy models. Like, I painted Fafnir, and it was fantastic, and I just really liked it. I do want to try painting up some Horus, Sons of Horus. Sorry, my brain blanked for a second there. But specifically Luna Wolves. Like, I want pre the fall, because I just love the color of their armor. On that same note, as soon as Games Workshop gives us, like, some good new Night Lords, it's Night Lords. Because I want those bat boys. I need to make food for my followers.
Alright, the next question is from Corey Paints, and it's, do you think the Votann are still worth buying for the sculpts and lore? In terms of, do they stand a chance at winning? Or is it going to be the Space Marines of this edition all over again? I'm going to answer this and say... We need to wait and see about, like, if you like the lore and the models, abso-bloody-lutely, you should
I
get them.
completely agree with that.
In regards to power level, I'm of the opinion that I think they over-nerfed them. I do think the removal of the auto-wounding on 6s was a good idea.
I think they overdid it, though.
But
like,
the points nerfs, without having seen them originally, I don't know. It seems like the Land Fortress is grossly overpriced, as well as the Chthonian Berserkers are overpriced. But they are gorgeous models, and honestly, you're going to spend 20 times more time painting and looking at the minis than you're ever going to spend playing with them, so get them if you like them.
I am in 100% agreement with that, because that was exactly what I was going to say. If you like the models, and you like the lore, then get them. Just, like, who cares? Get them, because you like them. That's how I feel about it. I personally, because I don't play competitive, and most of the people I know don't really play competitive, I don't feel like it's going to be that big of an impact. And so if you like them and you want to play them, pick them up and play them. Because your local scene will probably not care and they'll enjoy it. And it'll be cool to see something different on the table. I personally love the models. I think they look really, really freaking cool. Look how many trees we have over here. Why are they're stacked so close together? And so I just think it's very, very... I think it's worth it. If you want the box and you like them, just get them.
I don't think, just to follow up, because he just asked...
Yeah, I saw that.
Should he wait 2 weeks and see if the box price drops, or just buy it ASAP? I don't think... I mean, if you're buying it from a retailer, the MSRP is not going to drop.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to drop it. GW's not... they're very strict about their pricing.
Do I think that we might see some of the people who bought, like, 5 boxes to build early armies offload them onto eBay? I certainly see it being a possibility.
Yeah, that's definitely a chance for sure. So if you want to wait, I would say, like, if you're not, like, you need it right now.
But I'm waiting to see. They might do a Christmas box.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Is I want to know what GW's releasing for their holiday box sets, because I don't know what the Votann are going to get for that versus what everything else is going to get too, because that might change the market really heavily.
Next question from Supersonic89.
Lovely name.
What Black Library books have you both read? And really, that's a question of what Black Library books have you read, because I've read all the ones you have.
So I have read I think first 4 or 5 in order, like, of their release, and then randomly, so Mechanicus, is that what it's called?
Yeah, you saw Mechanicum.
Mechanicum. So of all the ones that I've read, Mechanicum is probably my favorite. But I've also read, what's the one with Garrow? Like, being a prominent character.
Fly the Eisenstein?
Yeah, so I really like that one too, just because I really like Garrow. I think he's so cool. I need to feed my one person real quick, so let me just cook that. What other ones have I read?
Fulgrim.
Yes, the Fulgrim book. That is super true. Is there any, I don't think I'm not a big reader, I will admit. So I've not actually read that many of them. I'm trying to get back into it. I do have, like, an Audible account, and I have a bunch of credits to use, so I've been meaning to, but it's not something I remember to put on when I'm doing other things, and I get very easily distracted, so I lose focus on them. So, and I'm a very slow reader, so I just don't do it very often.
I agree. First Heretic is amazing. That's the one that's about the word bearers and their entire relationship with religion.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one, and
I've talked about it.
Yeah, that's on my list of ones to get on Audible and actually listen to. But I've not read that one yet, but I've heard great things. I also I think there's one that I've been recommended about the Night Lords, but I don't remember what it is now. Okay. But I feel like somebody recommended it to me, but I've not read that one yet either.
From the next question.
Yes.
Is from the Andrew.
Excellent.
You built a Merkava tank a while back.
Yeah.
Will you build and paint other types of non-wargaming plastic models?
I absolutely plan to.
You have.
Yes, actually I have. Yeah,
I
did some Gundams on the channel. Guys, don't poop on the floor. Yes, I do have plans to build other non-GW models. I have done a little bit of that already, but I want to increase that. I actually was sent alongside when I was sent the airbrush from Tamiya. They did actually send me some kits as well. I have 2 planes that I want to build. One is specifically from, I'm going to go out into the lands of the old faith because that's what the quests want me to do. But I want to actually specifically build the one that I got that was referenced from Wind on the Roses, I think is what it's called. I can't remember the name of the Ghibli film. But basically, it was about the designer of one of the planes during World War II, and they sent me that plane. So I really want to build that up.
This is the Zero.
This is the Zero, yeah. This is the Zero. It's like Winds something. I can't remember now the title of the movie, but it was really cool, and I was like, yeah, do you have this one available? Because it's significant to me. And I really want to build that up. I just have not felt like I've been able to fit it into the schedule. My hope was during the holiday season to do a little bit more of like model building and that kind of stuff, especially now that I'm more comfortable with the airbrush. It might be something to like do a little bit of combo of build and paint and do like a classic scale model build.
Next up, Sam Little asked, and I think that the answer for this is going to be, we don't quite have an opinion on it. The first expansion for Curse City. What's our opinion of it since it does not come with miniatures? I don't know how much it costs. If it's like sub $30 and it's just cardboard and paper, then that sounds absolutely good. If it's $40 to $50, that gives me pause. If it's more than $50, it's probably grossly overpriced.
I am kind of on the same opinion. Personally, I'm excited to see that they did it. I do not mind specifically that it does not come with miniatures, in the sense that they've already technically released all those miniatures, so they are available. You can go get them.
But you have to buy them twice. Two things then.
You do have to buy 2 things, which is a little shitty, but I don't know. It's a mixed bag because like it's a board game, and I appreciate that they're treating it like a board game. And so in board games, doing these types of paper product expansions is not uncommon. So it's barring price that is going to determine whether or not I'm like, this sucks or, this is worth it. And part of that is because I am a little biased and I have a lot of those vampire models already because I like the vampire models, so I bought them. So I do have the models that those cards would reference. So I could see it being valuable to me personally.
Cool. All right, I think we've caught up with the chat. So,
excellent.
Continuing the questions we actually had from Cthulhu on Cam.
Yes.
What other mini games do you collect or would you like to collect?
So I actually collect a crap ton of miniature games. I have a fairly substantial collection of Legion at this point and Marvel Crisis Protocol. I've got the starter set for Mantic's Firestarter. I think that's what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Game, which I have... no, I've also got some Infinity stuff, actually, as well. The one that I think I'd want to collect, but I haven't, would be, honestly, Conquest. I've always liked the miniatures. They just always seem so huge. But I think with some of their newer stuff, I'm really liking the look of it. And I think it'd be fun to, man, I'm getting hit a whole bunch, to get some of those models. Oh, and also Relic Blade. I have a few stuff from Relic Blade and, Sean's other game, pay attention, Angela, there's attacking. Sean's other game, Sludge, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah.
And it looks so cool. Like I don't know if you guys have seen Relic Blade's miniatures or Sludge's miniatures, but they're really, really freaking cool. They're metal, which is interesting to, like, I've not worked with a lot of metal miniatures, but honestly, like, the weight of them is really fun. And I really like that. I actually did not read what that said. And I think there's another door this way, so we're going to come back here before we continue that way, because I think that's the way I need to go. Yes, because I didn't go to the fortune teller.
And finally, last question from Cthulhu on cam. What is your craziest night out story that I will let you tell?
So, one of the craziest nights out for me was when it was Halloween. We went to a haunted house, but this was a haunted house at the Armory. And for those of you that don't know
in San Francisco.
For those of you that don't know what the Armory is, it is a former military fortress that at one point, Kink.com owned the building and had their headquarters based out of. And every year on Halloween, they would do a kinky themed haunted house. And I went one time with a coworker, which had some craziness with it there, but I'm going to not talk about that.
For legal reasons.
But she was actually friends with the owner of Kink. So after we did the very, very cool, very kinky and erotic haunted house, we actually got to go up to their after party, and there was just, it was wild. Like, there was a lot of their devices up there, there were people doing things, it was a time, and I can't go into more details than that because
the carpentry room was impressive.
It was. And also, just the other thing that struck me about the entire experience, and this has nothing to do with the haunted house portion or anything really, but it was just the colossal gallons of lube. Like, so much. Just so much.
Industrial barrels.
It was industrial barrels of lube. And it was beautiful. What do we want to take? Do we want to take Master of the Arts? I think I'm going to take the Lovers. I want my extra health. Because I keep getting hit.
Corey Paints in the chat asks, how do our neighbors react when, if we tell them about our hobby, we don't talk to our neighbors?
Yeah, I don't talk to my neighbors.
Yeah. Let's see. From Adeptus Ridiculous 2022.
Yeah.
Just curious for Curioso, do you collect space wolves? And or anything related to the furry boys, because they love the new Joy Toy stuff that's coming out, and we just saw those Chaos Marines in real life.
Oh my god,
I had to hold you back from that.
You really did, because I wanted them. I need somebody for the Kriegsmen to fight.
To explain, we were at a toy store
Yes.
2 days ago.
Exactly.
And the only Joy Toy figures they had were the Chaos Marines. Mm-hmm. And they were nice, but they were also $90 each.
Yeah, they're a little expensive, and while they are cool, and I do want somebody for my Kriegsguardmen to fight, I would rather get, I really want, any of the other models, except for the Chaos ones. The Chaos ones are cool, but they're just not my favorites. What was Space Wolves. Okay, so I will admit, I've never found this room before. Space Wolves are at the bottom of my list of armies to collect. I do admit that I do like the furs and everything. However, Russ is so mean to Magnus, and I just have a personal bias against them for a number of reasons that are dumb. And so their models are really cool though. Okay, here's the thing, with the Toy Joy, I probably will get the Toy Joy models. Because that, who is it, what is one of their...
Ragnar Blackmane.
Yeah, Ragnar Blackmane, sorry, I completely blanked on his name. The model that they have for him, because I think they actually have one of him specifically, it looks badass. And I like the furs. I love all the texture on them. Maybe Space Wolves would be a good 30k army for me to do. Because at least then, Russ is still around and, being a butt, and I could feel more justified with, doing stuff with them. But yeah, I think that's my feeling on Space Wolves.
If you could change anything in the Warhammer 40k lore, what would you change and why? Asked Supersonic89.
Honestly, I would add I would add perversion into it, like the lore.
Wow.
Like, I just feel like it's silly to avoid it so blatantly the way that GW does. Like, I'm not saying go full extreme craziness, but like touch on it a bit more, because I think that's a human element that is missing. And especially when it comes to like anytime they want to focus on the Remembrancers or the human portion of the world, which to me is what
in books like the Gaunt's Ghosts, they do tend to a bit more. It's just things like Horus, Heresy, and all that. They've definitely dialed it back.
That's fair. I think Space Marines should be allowed to like feel that kind of thing. I know it's part of why they fall. I get it. Leshy's showing up.
My answer for it.
Yeah, what would you change?
I would actually get the Eldar and all of their forming the god of death stuff to be a bit more focused. I feel like there was something in the lore where they were aiming to have the Emperor become the Emperor would fuse with the Eldar god of death, create a new chaos god or something, possibly creating 40k Nagash. And I still think we're eventually gonna get the Emperor is Nagash in some way.
I do think so. Like, you and I have talked about this a lot, and I'm completely down for that to happen.
Yes. Corey Paints asks, what mini do you think should be updated from any faction?
Tomb Kings. I think Tomb Kings should be brought back in all of their mummy glory, and I want all of them. Please send to me. Thank you. Genuinely though, I just want the old world back. Dang it. I just want the old world back. Is really, of 40k models, what would I want updated of the, like, what's an old, like, have they done all the Aspect Warriors?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I want all the Aspect Warriors updated then, because I feel like
Swooping Hawks would be a very interesting model if they could do it well.
Yeah, like, that would be really cool. Basically, like, yeah, I want this. I think that, if not, just bringing back some of the old world stuff.
Are you going to paint Angron?
I mean, if I picked up that model...
You haven't painted, Mortarion yet.
Oh, I forgot Angron is he's also in big demon form, isn't he?
Yeah.
I was thinking like a 40k version of him.
He is a 40k version.
30k version of him. The Horus Heresy version of him.
It'd still be a demon prince.
I was thinking specifically the Forge World one where he's like, where he's not demon. After I paint Mortarion and then, yes, maybe, someday, eventually. I don't own the model, so not currently, but if I was given him and I had the time, yes. I would not be opposed to it because, I mean, I like painting big demon men, if you haven't noticed. I'm gonna save this person. Or have this I'm gonna fight this person, actually. You have come far enough, little lamb. My followers are willing to do anything for me. Can you say the same of yours? Well, guys, would you be willing? Don't actually answer that, because you shouldn't be willing to do anything for anyone. That's ridiculous. But, pretend. Oh, mighty leader! Transform into a giant, big demon creature. He's so cute. And he kind of has a butt on his head.
I mean, kind of is a term. Very much so, does.
Yeah, he definitely has a butt on his head. He's pooping out of it. Die, creature! It also kind of looks like a Pope hat. This is truly a Nurgle creature. Oh my god! He's so good.
Oh, it's that one.
It's this one, yes. Convert! Yeah, I know, I'll spare you, don't worry. I like how my hat changes whenever I'm, like, converting them. Do I want seeds? Do I want gold? Or do I want the scroll? I don't care about the blueprint. We're taking the gold. I have found too often in my limited playthroughs of this game that I have run out of gold. Good lord, do I run out of money. And personally, like, it's because I go gamble with Ratau. That's really why it happens.
You read it, Mike.
All right, I've got some questions. Got it. Here is the question. Have you or Chaos Cultists ever thought about building an army for Age of Sigmar or 40k, but trying to do it without using GW models? It's funny that you actually bring that up, because I have not specifically had the intention of going, like, full-blown, fully from scratch, not using any GW models, but I have really been wanting to add some of the Cromlech stuff that I've gotten recently sent to me into my Orc army, and I've always felt that way because I've worked with Cromlech a little bit before, and Spellcrow, and I really, really like the sculpts that they do, specifically for their Orcs, but also for some of their Chaos models. I definitely think it would be very cool. I know, and I have no idea what's happening with it right now, but I know Mini Wargaming Dave had his Chaos army alternative that looked really rad, and frankly, that would be, like, if I didn't already have a crap ton of, like, Chaos models, I would definitely consider going that route for starting a Chaos army, especially for Tzeentch. I feel like his models, to me, just look very Tzeentchian. I don't know what it is about them. I think it's just because I painted one in a Tzeentchian color scheme, and so that's just in my head. But yeah, it looks really cool to me. So yeah, I would definitely consider doing it. I just don't know. I have so many Warhammer stuff already in my house. I don't know if it would actually happen completely from scratch. Do you both have a favorite retro game?
I need to know what defines retro.
I am going to say, for me, because I consider, like, at this point, like, personally PS2 to be a little... Listen, we have, like, the PS5 now, and, like, friggin' Steam and Epic and Game Pass and all sorts of things. Like, that is kind of retro, right?
Dead.
He's dead. I've killed him. I'm gonna Phoenix down him. Phoenix down. Please? Okay, well, I'll need to resuscitate him later. But yeah, for me, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, I think, is my favorite retro. I was going to also say Grandia 2, because I just have very fond memories. I didn't play it back when it was new. I played it only very recently, but I love both of those games. Only have played them recently, but I also, if you haven't figured this out, I had a little bit of a sheltered childhood and didn't really, like, anime was the main thing I was able to get away with when it came to, like, doing nerd stuff. And I just didn't have any other, like, and that's because I got myself into it on my own because of Pokemon. But good lord. Like, yeah, I think it's Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, because that game, as janky as it is such a good story and such a good game. If you have not played it, I can't actually recommend it because it is janky as hell, and so the controls are bonkers a little sometimes and hard to control. However, it's so good. And then Grandia 2 is just delightful. Millennia. I love Millennia.
Dungeon Keeper.
Yes, Dungeon Keeper definitely is his. I
got better.
You did get better. Yes, that was him on the floor. I think you were on camera for a little bit, dead on the floor.
I'm aware.
Excellent. Yes, we also had the cats around. I don't know where they went, though. I'm actually really surprised. Why can I not do anything? Do I need to talk to you? Is it return with more followers?
Need to leave?
I think I need to indoctrinate this guy. All right. Can you pull up the list of names?
From where?
From on my list. You have it open. From that list. What was the next person who asked a question?
Robert Gamble.
All right, Robert G is the next person. You get to be my little Nurgle friend. I am going to keep you in that form. So for some reason, you are less... Was he not brighter green previously?
He was yellow, I thought.
Well, now he's going to be pink. Do I like that pink, or do I like this pink? This one feels more appropriate to Nurgle. It's fleshy. We're gonna go with this brighter. This one. There is no variant. You just get to have stuff on your head. Why do you gain faith from falling ill?
Nurgle.
I don't know why I asked that. Alright. Welcome to the cult, Robert. Take a t-shirt. Alright, do we have more questions that I've missed?
No, I will have more in the pre-asked.
Okay, excellent.
Al Hero asks, what is your favorite dinosaur?
T-Rex, Triceratops, Pterodactyl. And it's entirely because those are the Power Ranger ones. I would also include, but I don't think they're technically dinosaurs, the saber-toothed tiger, the mammoth.
And the dragon.
And the dragon. And the dragon!
The dragon.
Yes.
Shintaku then asks, why do you use contrast paint and not the classic painting method? I have my own answer for this for you, but I want to know what you think.
So the reason that I use contrast paint is it's actually very layered. We're going to place our shrine because we can only place it there. So the reason that I primarily focus on contrast paint is because, one, it reminds me of the mediums that I was using in college, and it incredibly sped up my process with painting. One of the biggest things when I started the channel in trying to get my Death Guard done was I also wanted to get them done quickly. I did not want to spend a huge amount of time painstakingly painting every model, like, in the edge highlight sort of way, because that just never really appealed to me. I tried it back in my youth. I tried it again when I got back into painting, and I just didn't enjoy it quite as much, and contrast gave me, like, a great effect very quickly. And that is one of the main reasons that I ended up going with it. I also just, yeah, it's really about the speed, honestly. It's really about speed. What were you going to say that it was?
I was going to compare it to the ink washes, similar to you. It was also just very much a timing of, we really started to get into 8th edition at the time of, praise be his name, Duncan was pushing contrast paints with Citadel.
Yep.
And we just went all in. I think we bought like 80% of the line when it launched.
I think I bought everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I actually purchased the entire contrast line. Can I have another name, please?
Yes. The next name would be Sage Traveler.
I'm just going to say Sage Travel. Oh, can I put Traveler? Aha! Did I spell Traveler right? Traveller?
Good enough.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go with it. For your form, we're gonna keep you as a fox. Yes, we are. But we're going to make you this teal fox. And then I'm going to give you this delightful tuff. You have our first negative trait. You're terrified of death.
Is that a negative trait?
I mean, it makes them lose 5 faith when a follower dies, which will absolutely be happening, so...
Oh, that's bad.
Yep. Well, it's okay. Oh my god, I just realized that your name is Sage Traveler, and I made you green, which Sage is green.
Uh-huh.
Haha! Worship. Yes. Pray to me. Unlock things for me, please. Oh, look, you have an even longer cape, because you're worshipping. Good. There's a bee! What? Can I capture you? I've never seen
swung a nut for a second. You're not easily distracted.
I am super easily distracted. I've never seen a bee before. Come here. I can't do anything with you. Dang it. All right. Well, that's fine. We've got everybody working. We've got somebody on wood. We've got somebody on stone. You guys are all full. We don't have faith happening yet, which is great. So let's go ahead and I need to collect stuff from my shrine. Pay attention to what is on the screen, Angela. Could you guys all please go pray? Robert, I would like you to go worship. And then, where is our other friend? Kingsby? Kingsby, let me talk to you. There you go. And go worship. All right, hit me with another question if there is one.
Oh yes. All right. Captain Discord asks, do you think painting some bug boys might be in the future? The hive mind hungers for content.
I absolutely think Tyranids would be something that could come back to the channel. I've actually painted a few Nids before. The ones from Space Hulk. No. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and that was really fun, actually. I was playing with just really varied color palettes on that one, which was really cool. And honestly, that is my favorite way to paint Nids, is just constantly make them a little bit different. I think the thing that's held me back from doing anything on the channel with them too much is I really dislike the white and purple color scheme that they dominate all of their box art with. And it really just puts me off the models for some reason. Like, I see them painted up in literally anything else, and I go, oh man, Tyranids are so cool looking. But then I see the box, and I'm like, I just am really not into this. And I don't know why, but I just don't like it. And no, we do not have donations active at this time. I saw somebody mention that in the comments. Might be something we turn on later, but not at the moment.
Yep, just something we haven't done yet since this is the first time we've streamed
exactly
on YouTube and all of that. So expect it will probably be active in the future.
Yes, absolutely. That was from God Convoy. Just don't want to make sure you got your question addressed.
One final question from Captain Discord, and I think we'll do this before we take a brief bathroom break. Do you figure out what you want to paint and then look for cosplay for it, or does it go the other way around?
It's normally that I figure out what I want to paint and then I look for cosplay for it. Although there have been a few occasions, I feel like, where I found an outfit where I'm like, oh, this feels very vampire. Maybe I should paint a vampire. I could use this for it.
Yeah, normally we don't buy miniatures, but sometimes it's like, oh, don't we have, this orc mini in backlog when we see something at Spirit?
Exactly. And which I actually am planning to go to Spirit very soon to peruse the costumes and see what I can get, because it's that time of the season and they're open, and I do like doing the little skits, and I would like to do more of those going forward. That's something we're trying to work back into the channel a bit more as we continue to expand.
Indeed. Alright, when you're at a good stopping point, I think we're going to take about a 10-minute break.
Yeah, absolutely. I am going to switch us over to a Be Right Back screen, and we'll be like 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, we'll be back 5 after the hour.
Yes. everybody, I am back. I figured, since this is a Q&A, that I would go ahead and just, you know, chat with you guys, really focus on the Q&A, and I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the questions that I got in the comments on the previous video. So, Joe S.
But please keep asking
Yes,
them
please
in the
ask them in the chat as well. Continue asking questions in the chat. I'm gonna be jumping between the two of them, but for now, let's start with Joe S.'s question. What's the significance of the ring that you always have visible around your neck? Well, so this ring here, you can actually see it there. This was actually one of the first gifts that Chaos Cultist ever gave me. It's how I have bound him to me. It's actually something he made, which was the coolest thing to me. He did a metals and jewelries class in college, and he actually made this. It fits his finger, and I just wear it here because obviously it doesn't fit any of my fingers. It's way, way too big. But yeah, it is just one of the first things that he gave me, and I've always worn it. I think I have been wearing this thing since he gave it to me, and I don't know if I really take it off outside of that. I did almost lose it once. That was terrifying. I was really sad about that. Thankfully, I found it. The chain that I previously had it on broke. It had just gone too worn, but it freaked me the hell out. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Alex Kane asks, will there ever be a full face reveal of the Chaos Cultist?
There has been.
Technically, there has been. Actually, I think we've had a couple of full face reveals. I do not, for the life of me, remember which videos they happened in.
I do.
Was it? Oh, okay. I do remember one. It was the one where we... You'll have to figure it out.
They have to go watch all the videos to find it.
It'll be a scavenger hunt. And once you've found it, put in the comments, I've found it. And that way I'll know that you played this game with me. All right. Oop. We have somebody in chat who is spamming stuff, and I don't know.
I will deal with it.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Next question is it is the One Ring, exactly. From Otter Blau 50 Blue. I don't know. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'm so sorry, Otter. Otter Blau 52. Oh nope. I almost thought I was asking the same question, and I'm not. This one is, will we get to see a Chaos Cultist painted on Hobby Night? And the answer to that is probably yes. I actually, much in the same way that I kind of treated the Tyranids of doing a couple of different, like, unique color schemes and such, I want to do the same thing with Chaos Cultists. I have a couple of the really unique ones from Blackstone Fortress that I have been sitting on for ages, and every now and then, when I'm like, what should I paint this week? I come back to them and go, well, I could do that. And then I end up finding something that's like a little bit more relevant, and so we don't go for it, but it is something that is on my like short list of easy fill-in, would be fun to paint, and I could do multiple of them doing different color schemes or different techniques, and I think it'd be kind of a fun, unique video. So if that interests you, just, you know, always kind of tell me that stuff in the comments on the painting tutorials if there's something that you want to see, because I do want to make stuff that you also want to see as much as that I want to paint myself. So it's always fun when I get the feedback like that. Let's see, moving on, he also asks, or Otter also asks, is there a game that I want to get but haven't found the opportunity to pick up? Yeah, actually, the new Wolfenstein game that's come out has been, like, I've seen it in stores, and I keep being tempted, but I haven't really found, like, a good excuse to pick it up yet. And I keep seeing people on my Patreon Discord who have picked it up and are painting the models. It looks so cool. Like, I've only watched people play Wolfenstein, but it looks really freaking cool. Like, it looks really, really cool. All right, I see that we've got a question from Adeptus Ridiculous in the chat. He says, so Angela, what is the most craziest thing you've ever done on YouTube? Craziest thing I've ever done on YouTube? I mean, I think it's just the skits that I do. Like, I don't think I've gone, like, crazy insane in any of my videos and stuff that I've done. I think the craziest thing that I did...
Royal Jamble?
Yeah, the Royal Jamble. Honestly, that would be And that technically was on YouTube. So yes, the Royal Jamble. And participating in Quizlemania was also probably the craziest thing that I did, because we almost won. We almost won, and then Luke stole it from us. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm friends with the folks over at Wrestle Talk and Parts Fun Known, and at one point they invited me onto their quiz show called Quizlemania, where we answer questions about pro wrestling. And I was on the team with Sullivan Bo Brown and John Gracie, and we were representing Noel Rosebard, which is the channel that Adam started as part of the family of channels that Parts Fun Known and Wrestle Talk are part of, called Noel Rosebard. It's a board game channel. It's brilliant. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do so. So I was on there representing them because I've played Blood on the Clock Tower with NBR quite a few times, and that was just such a great quiz show. Like, we almost won. Spoiler, I guess. It was so good, but it's been like months since this happened. So it is a great time though. Go watch it, see the shenanigans, and go find out how exactly we get screwed, because we were screwed. It was devastating. All right, let me check in chat, make sure we don't got any other. Let's see. With a let's play about. What about a let's play with a board game or exploring model lines outside of GW? I definitely, for let's plays, I don't know if board games are something that I will put on the channel specifically. I love the idea of it, but the amount of hours that way would go into recording and just editing a let's play of board games for me and Chaos Cultist just right now is not feasible. In regards to, say, like exploring more model lines outside of GW, absolutely. I've done that a little bit on the channel already. I've done some stuff with Tamiya products. I've done some Bandai.
Next Friday.
And oh yeah, and next Friday I'm actually going to be painting up some Cromlech models. They sent me a massive selection of their new upcoming orc stuff, which actually goes on sale, I think, tomorrow. I think they said it was October 1st is when their new orc stuff was releasing on their website. And it's stunning. Like, I personally have not worked a whole lot with resin. I've avoided it pretty heavily because I had some very early experiences with Finecast back in the day and hated it. Kind of associated resin with that for a really long time and just didn't want to work with it. And then the few times where I have worked with resin, I have almost inevitably broken them or had pieces in models like that I bought from a store that were resin. If they had like a really flimsy piece, it was inevitably also broken in the packaging. And so I just have had very like minimal experiences with them, but these Cromlech ones, like, they're impressive. Like, the detail on them is insane, and I'm really pleased with how they're so far coming together. Like, I've started clipping them out. I need to clean them up still, but I'm going to be assembling hopefully actually later today. I just think they're really, really cool. So I will be working on those next week. And I do have some plans, like during the holiday season. I mentioned this a little earlier in the stream, but I do want to build one of the planes that Tamiya sent me, because I have that. I do have a variety of other Gundam models that I would love to build, and every time I go into any toy store and I see like the waifu anime models, those have been incredibly tempting to me, because I kind of want to see exactly what the quality of them are, and whether or not, like, is it on the same level as like a Gundam kit? Does it go together that well? And like, is it actually smooth, or do they look jank in real life and they just got some really good photos? I suspect it's actually decent looking, but I'm very tempted. Let's see. We've got a couple other questions in the chat. This one is coming from Neil Space. I'm bad with names, guys, so if I bork your names, I'm very sorry. You have my deepest apology. I will try my best, but I'm just bad with words. Who are my top male and female wrestlers at the moment? So top male wrestlers at the moment, Jon Moxley has skyrocketed to the top. Like, his just speech with MJF when he had to come back from his vacation because of all the stuff that happened with AEW at All Out. Just really, I mean, I've always liked Moxley, but like that sort of Undertaker-ness for AEW, like that's kind of how I felt like that he took up that mantle a little bit, and it was so good. I also The Acclaimed, 100% The Acclaimed. They're just brilliant. Like, I've never been more into a tag team wrestling like group than I have The Acclaimed, frankly, which is funny because I've been into a lot of tag team groups or just larger groups even, but like those boys are hot fire right now, and I want them to get all of the gold, and I just want them to do so well in life. Oh, they're so good. And then for female performers, this is actually a little bit harder because I feel like there are plenty of women in AEW right now who I absolutely love, but the division is not doing much, and that bothers me. And there is potential for them to go ahead and do stuff now. And I apologize if you guys aren't wrestling fans, but this is just, it's very cool. Like, pro wrestling's very cool to me. So like, there's a lot that could change in AEW's women's division because of Saraya and her return and everything. And if you don't know, that is formerly WWE's Paige. She has come back to wrestling. She's on AEW. She shook up the women's division. They did have a really long women's segment on Dynamite, which was cool. I'm excited to see what happens on Rampage this evening. You know, Abaddon. I'm gonna go with Abaddon as my current favorite female wrestler. I know she's not doing a whole lot on like the main picture, but I love that girl. She's so good. I do also really like Britt Baker. Like I will. Oh, and Jade. I don't know how I could forget Jade, but also Jade. And Asuka, because she's actually doing stuff again. Because I always love Asuka. Asuka for life. I miss her so much. I miss when she was actually the Empress of Tomorrow and winning things. It was so good. I'm just hoping that, you know, Triple H can do something with her now that he's actually back in charge. All right, let's get to the next question. Robert asks, how old am I? I am not going to answer that one. Sorry. It's not hard to figure out though. Like there's plenty of hints, but that one you'll have to decipher for yourself.
I am offended for the Jamie Hayter fans. How could you forget Jamie Hayter?
I mean, there's Jamie Hayter, there's Toni Storm. I mean, like, here's the thing. There's lots of women in AEW's women's division who are fantastic, but, like, they're not doing anything right now. And that bothers me. And I'm like, I can only be so invested unless you actually have a good story, which is why I'm not super invested in any of them, because none of them have super good stories right now. Jade's not doing anything really. Like, she's kind of been doing some stuff, but it's been okay. The stuff that's been happening with the main title is awkward because everybody's an interim champion. I'm not gonna continue ranting about pro wrestling because I could just go on for that for like hours and probably bore the crap out of you guys. Let's continue moving on to hello, Kingsby. I am glad you were able to make it. I know you're not like having the audio on, but you'll hear this later when you're watching it later. All right, let's get back. Madara would be a great game to play, Rico. That would be fantastic. I don't think I'd play it on the channel, but it's definitely something that like has been on my short list of long format games for Chaos Cultist and I to play and then probably post about on Instagram, because that's where I share most of my board game content in the future, because it's got a really high reviews on Board Game Geek, which I was kind of surprised about because when it first released, I had concerns. But I always have concerns about the really big box games that come with a shit ton of miniatures and just so much cardboard. So much cardboard. Thomas asks, Thomas Baxidit asks, did I get into 3D printing? I have not gotten into 3D printing yet. It is something that I would love to, but I have not specifically like invested time into researching 3D printers hardcore enough myself to feel comfortable purchasing one. And honestly, I had at one point somebody in the 3D printing world who reached out for a sponsorship, and I haven't heard back from them since I moved. So it might be something to poke, because I absolutely would love to. I just got into airbrushing, so right now I'm kind of focusing on that. And 3D printing might be something I either really bring into the channel maybe in 2023 or closer to the end of the year, depending on like what goes on with sponsorships or that kind of thing. If there happens to randomly be somebody who works in the 3D printing business who's watching this, check my email and please shoot me an email if you would like to work with me. I'd love to chat with you and maybe discuss getting a 3D printer. That'd be cool. All right. I am glad that pro wrestling does not bore you. And absolutely no problem for answering your question. You also asked, Neil, how big is your board game collection? Like, are you asking how many board games is it? Because I've not counted it. But if I had to make a rough estimate, would you, like, I feel like, yeah, I was going to, my guess was going to be 300. I was like, 300 I feel like is not a unrealistic estimate. I think it is closer to 400 to 500 board games.
I would put it somewhere in 400 to 500, definitely not below that. But because of small box games, it gets weird.
Yeah, I have a lot of like I have a board game technically that's like the size of a gum pack, and I have some as large as the box of Hate, which is like beyond the screen that I can. I mean, like, it's huge. I don't know if you've ever seen the box game for Hate, but it's massive. I mean, it weighs like 10 pounds or something like that. It's a very heavy game. It might be even more than that. I mean, I have Gloomhaven too, and if you've ever seen that box, which is a giant like honker of a box, it's a thick boy. So yeah, but I have a huge range, and I've been collecting for 15 years at least. How long have we been collecting?
You and I have been collecting together for about 12 years.
Okay, is it 12 years? I couldn't remember if it was like 15 or 10 or what range it was in.
No, you and I have been going since Small World.
That's right.
Or no, Castle Panic.
Castle Panic.
Yeah, about 12 years ago.
Yeah, so I've been collecting board games for 12 years, and for 3 of those years, which is probably, which has been very recently, I also worked at a board game store where I had a sweet discount.
Rip.
Rip indeed. And I took full advantage of that discount, and I bought a bulk of the collection in that 3-year period. But it's because I was just giving my paycheck back to my boss. Let me just put it that way. Let's see. Oh, can you take care of some spam in chat?
I can, yes.
Andrew Frank asks, yes, Andrew, yes. The significance of the ring. Someone did ask that, but just to go over it one more time, this was one of the first gifts that the Chaos Cultist ever gave me. He forged this ring himself, and it actually fits one of his fingers, and it's how I keep him bound to me. So, of the percentage of those that are his versus mine, I would say it's about half and half, honestly. Like, we pretty evenly dictate what games get bought, and we also have incredibly overlapping tastes. So, generally, like, it's very rare that he might pick up a game or I might pick up a game and go, hey, do you like this? And it not be something that we're both going to be roughly interested in. So I've never really separately categorized them, but I would say it's about half and half.
Except for my favorite board game of all time that you sold.
Okay.
It was a gift. It was a Christmas gift. My favorite game, and then you went and sold it away.
He's not wrong, but let me explain. I bought him Dragonfire, I think it was. It was some, like, it was a D&D thing.
How could you forget?
It was a crappy game, that's why. No offense to the people who made it, but I did not enjoy it. He didn't enjoy it, and so we sold it. But yeah, I bought it for him as a gift, and then I was like, you know what? This is not great. I should have done more research. I'm gonna sell this one. You know, to be fair, I don't even think it sold. I think we just ended up donating it because it's that bad of a game. It was just not good. And if you have games that are like just genuinely you don't like them, and you have
the running gag was because she got it for me for Christmas. I could not get rid of it because that would be rude to get rid of a Christmas gift.
Which is why I got rid of it. Because I took it back and I was like, I am redacting this gift.
But I declared it my favorite board game so you wouldn't get rid of a Christmas gift.
It's true, it's true.
And you did it anyway.
I did because I'm a rude person. That's
sorry for interrupting.
No, please. All right. Who else do we have? Forged. Yes, Joe. It was forged in the fires of Mount Doom. If Mount Doom was in the south, of the U.S. Joshua Dupreez asks how I'm doing. Joshua, I'm doing great. I hope that you are also doing very, very well. I have been super enjoying being on the stream and just chatting with you guys. I do not see any more questions in the chat currently, so I'm going to go back to my list. I believe that I am on Daniel Loafs. Laufs? I don't know, there's umlauts above it, and I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it. Laufs? Okay, we're gonna just stop trying to pronounce it because I'm probably butchering it. What's your opinion on the return of squats and the space dwarves in general? We touched on this a little bit because I think somebody actually in the chat asked this as well. I don't know if it was the same person or not. However, I am happy to discuss it a little bit again because honestly, like I'm happy to see the space dwarves back. I think it is great to have additional factions in the game. I personally really like their aesthetic. Although I mentioned this in the news, I actually do still very much feel like they're out of time a little bit. I feel like their aesthetic fits way more with the
Great Crusade.
Yeah, the Great Crusade. Like, and also like I feel like they should have popped back into having people be aware of them in the universe during 30K, you know, during the Horus Heresy, or even a little before that, like you said, during the Great Crusade.
Well, they have so much advanced weaponry.
Exactly.
They have no corruption whatsoever.
And they don't seem to be corruptible, so like it just feels like that.
So they feel like
should have been a point for them to come out. Yeah.
And then this would have been a good place to take them, and then 10,000 years later we get the 40K version where there is some corruption.
Yeah, which would have been really interesting and would have evolved, I think, the army. So like I am definitely happy to see them back. All of the stuff that's going on with them currently in the tournament scene, it's interesting. Like I do not play competitive, so it does not at all affect me. The thing that I will say that irritates me the most about what has happened is less so the fact that like people are talking about banning it or GW has hard corrected. It's more the fact that like they've hard corrected and now completely yet again invalidated a brand new codex. And I don't like, do they have plans to reprint the codex? Because like the only one that's out is the one you can get in the box set right now, right? So are they going to do something like, are they going to somehow manufacture a bunch of new codexes with these updated rules? My guess is probably no. And you're just going to have to download the free rules. But like, and you guys can tell me in the chat, if you play competitively. I thought at official GW tournaments, you like had to bring your books that contained the rules for the army you were running. And I feel like it's ridiculous that not only does GW constantly laden us with a bunch of new mission packs and like new rule books that you have to bring to be able to go to any of these tournaments already because you have one single rule that you may want to use in your army in that book. But now you are like, now on top of that, they're also, a codex isn't even actually technically out and it's no longer valid. because the points have changed and the rules have changed. And that just seems crappy. Like, that is my biggest main complaint about it. Supersonic89 in the chat has asked, am I enjoying Star Wars Legion? Yes. I actually have been wanting to play more of it. I've only played like 1 or 2 games of it so far. I do have the starter set painted up of both. I had the Clone Wars starter set, and I have that fully painted up. I think there's a little bit of detail work that I need to do on a couple of models. But otherwise, they're fully painted, and I've been playing with them a little bit, and I've been really, really enjoying it. I do still want to paint up my Shadow Collective box set that I got, because I think it'd be really fun to run Maul and like that group. As like, I actually really like the look of the Pike Syndicate models. They're so cool looking. I honestly I sometimes wish the Tau took a little bit more elements from like the Pike a little bit, just because I think they have a similar fishy vibe, but they go into a little bit more of an exotic fish vibe with the Pike, and I just feel like it works a little bit better. And I don't know. The Tau's like normal faces don't really appeal to me, unfortunately. I like their helmets and I love the suits. The suits are so freaking cool. But yeah, no, I've very much been enjoying Star Wars Legion. Yeah, it's just one of those things of GW occasionally makes some really weird decisions when it comes to their competitive scene, and I don't always agree with it. And I know they're a business, and I know they want to make money. But sometimes it's a little just not consumer friendly in the worst ways, and that's the big problem. All right. Checking chat, making sure that we don't have any more questions. So Ben Johnson asks, what's a better Star Wars ship battle game to get into, the Star Wars X-Wing or Armada series? I, unfortunately, do not have a great opinion on that. I know I have definitively played X-Wing. I want to say that I have played Armada, but I think it was like 7 years ago, so I don't really remember it much.
You played Armada when it first came out with me back
like
on
7 years
something like
ridiculously long time ago. So
my general consensus with the X-Wing is it has greater support by the community.
That was exactly what I was going to say, is like, I don't think Armada is currently being supported nearly as well by either Fantasy Flight or Atomic Mass. I'm not actually sure which one is like handling the product line anymore, because I haven't been keeping up with how Asmodee has fractured itself. But I would say X-Wing is definitely more supported on just like by the community as well as by the company a bit more. So if you were to get into one of them, probably do that one. The big difference, if you're just wanting like feel like the vibe of them, like X-Wing's definitely going to be more your smaller skirmish battles, although I do think there are some larger ships in it. I just don't think they're as like usable or like brought as often because they're really, really expensive to run, because this is more of a skirmish game, whereas Armada is more of your big ship battles. So if that's what you're looking for and you have like a good group of people to play with who can support you and like keep that interesting, because I feel like war games really are only as interesting as the people that you're playing with, then absolutely go into Armada. Yeah, it's like the Codex publication, Adeptus Ridiculous, was just commenting on the what I was saying about the codexes of, yeah, it's insane to me that they publish these things and this is not the first time it's happened. Like, there have been multiple codexes that were released, I think this year even, who have had some major updates that have basically just gone, oh, whoops, this is now no longer a valid piece of material for you, and that is my biggest problem with Games Workshop. Okay, Atomic Mass has taken X-Wing and Armada. That's what I thought, but I still see sometimes the Fantasy Flight packaging on some stuff in stores, and I think it's just that these stores have older editions or printings of the game. All right, I am going to... Oh! Supersonic89 has asked, have we tried Star Wars Rebellion or Scythe? And we've tried Rebellion, right? We've played a little bit of Star Wars Rebellion.
I have not.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking,
I have played the classic PC strategy game Star Wars Rebellion, released in, I think, 1997 by Lucasfilm Games. So if we're talking about that, then yes.
Okay, I'm talking about
sarcastic. I'm talking about the board game. I don't think we've played it.
Have we not played it? Okay, I swear we pulled it out once and, like, tried it. But, you know what, I have a lot of games and I've played a lot of them and... Did we not own it? Then never mind, I've never played it. What is the Star Wars game that we do? Oh, Imperial Assault is what I'm thinking of. I've played Imperial Assault, but I've not played Rebellion. And I've not played Scythe either. That's actually one of those games that every time I go to the store and I see it, I'm like, oh, I should own that. Why don't I already have Scythe? Like, not only is it supposedly a very fantastic game from what I've been told by many people and seen in the comments, and also just seen on Board Game Geek because I think it has a really high rating. But it's also just a beautiful game. Like, as a person who likes to collect board games specifically for their art, like Scythe I love. Sometimes when I'm walking around where I live now, there are some scenery like moments that just remind me of Scythe, and it tickles me so much. I think the main reason that I haven't picked it up is primarily because I think I have a weird bias against Stonemaier games, because of some nonsense during the Wingspan days, and I've never gotten over it. And I've just never picked it up. But yeah, I definitely, Scythe is on my list of eventually it'll be part of my collection. I kind of, honestly, what I need to do is I need to go online and I need to see if somebody's selling just their entire collection. Because I want, like, if I'm going to get Scythe, I want all of it. Like, I would want all of the expansions. I'd want the dumb, like, fancy, extra, like, words. I would want the fancy resources set so that they were sculpted like literal pieces of wood and stone and everything, and like the plastic pieces. I would want to get all of the extra boards. Like, I would want everything, and I think that's the other main reason I haven't actually picked it up, is because that's a commitment. That's a big purchase. That's a big girl purchase, and I don't think I'm ready for it. But one day. All right. Yeah, James Wade was saying that, yeah, Armada has no new ships, and that's what I thought I'd heard. At one point, I swear I saw something about maybe there was going to be some support coming back to the game, but I don't think there were any new ships planned in the immediate or potential future from what I've seen. So that's the one disadvantage for the person who's asking about that, of getting into it. Is like, that's why I said if you have somebody or a group of people who already have a bunch and you guys are ready to go, by all means jump into it. But yeah, X-Wing is the one that's supported more by Atomic Mass, and just go for that. Making sure I don't have any other questions in the comments. I do not. All right, now back to the ones over here. So, things that go bomb. Boom. I might have miswrote that. I'm so sorry. It's either things that go bomb or things that go boom. Asks what is my favorite Death Guard model as a model, and not necessarily in terms of stats or painting. So in regards to just my favorite Death Guard model, it is definitely the Myphetic Blighthauler. I just love the look of that little bug. His little face with his mandibles. There's something so cute about it. It's because there is, and I don't remember if it is a Terminator head or if it is a Plague Marine head, but there is one particular model that has the singular Cyclopsian eye in the helmet. He's got a spike on his head, and then he just has like a frowny face, open maw, and there's little spiky teeth. And it is the cutest expression I've ever seen on a helmet. I just love it, and the Blighthauler is essentially that, but with mandibles sticking out of his face, and it just is so cute. Also, I do absolutely love the element of the organic butt of the creature, along with the front heavily armored portion, because like when it does come to painting, I know you said not to talk about the painting, but when it does come to painting, it's just so much fun because I get to play with both those elements. Like I get to play with the armor and doing those kinds of things, and then I get to play with the fleshy bits and work with those kinds of colors a bit more. And that is, I think, the thing that I like the most when it comes to painting is being able to work on something that has a lot of different textures. Because I think the thing that I enjoy the most about bringing these models to life through color is just getting to determine and like play with what those actually look like and actually making them feel like the materials they're meant to be. Because like you have the beautiful sculpt, you know, that the designers have provided us, but really you're putting the color on there to make it feel alive. And that's just so cool. Like who doesn't want to put them on the table and just be like, they could come alive. If this was Toy Story World, they're now active and they can go to war. It would just be so cool. Adeptus Ridiculous 2022 asks, do I love Nemesis? Are you talking about the game or the character? Please clarify. And while you're clarifying, I am going to move on to my next question from John Lang, which is, am I going to build more non-game scale models? So I'm assuming you're talking about like the Tommy and that kind of stuff. Absolutely. I 100% want to build more of those kinds of models on the channel. I mentioned a couple of times I have some planes that I want to do. And I've also, so like, I don't know if I would have the patience for it, but I am really tempted by some of the ships. Like, I've seen some massive ships and they look really cool, but I don't know if I would actually have the patience for it. So that's like the one thing I'm kind of trying to determine when it comes to doing some of those things is like, how do I film them? How long is it going to actually take me? And how big do I want to go? The nice thing is if I do end up going big eventually, I could always do like a 2-part type thing or even like a 3-part type thing where we like focus on specific elements and just talking about the process. Because really one of the things that I try to achieve with those types of videos is just going through what I'm doing and trying to show as much as I can of like how I'm doing things, whether it be gluing things or when I'm painting, how my brush is moving, how much, you know, paint is in the brush, that kind of thing. Because I feel like that, for me, when it comes to watching other people's tutorials, is always the most helpful because I'm a very visual learner personally. So like seeing what they're talking about rather than just listening to them talk about it always helps me. So breaking the video up like that into bigger chunks so that we can focus a little bit more might be kind of a cool way to do and tackle some of those bigger scale models that are like huge, like the ships. All right, we also have another question from Jack D, who asks, could you take Adam Blampier in an arm wrestling match? No. I really don't think that I could. For those of you that are unaware, Adam Blampier is the host of No Rules Barred. He's also one of the hosts of Wrestle Talk and Parts Fun Known. He's often on there. He also runs their Quizzlemania show, which I have been on. And while I have been working out and, you know, I've got some decent guns, and like, let me lean this way. You know, it's not bad. It's not bad. Most of my actual strength is in my core and my legs. So if we were having like possibly a tug of war, maybe I could, maybe. I really doubt it. But I would try the thing that they do in Squid Games and see if I could like knock him over. But yeah, arm wrestling, no, I definitely could not beat Adam in an arm wrestling match. Vaho asks, did you get into 3D printing models yet? Unfortunately, no. It's something, I actually was sent some 3D printed models recently, and I'll be sharing more of that very soon on my Instagram and probably on the community page on YouTube. But I have not actually gotten into 3D printing them myself. I talked about this a little bit before, but 3D printing is one of those things of, I'm very interested in it, but I would so much rather it be everything worked out, like it become a little bit more commercialized and easier access, unless somebody wants to sponsor me. But like, I just don't know if I'm quite ready to jump into it, because I personally do not have any desire to make my own models. And while I know there are plenty of options out there to be able to just buy, you know, sculpts from people and print those up, I have so much plastic and other things already, and I tend to just buy those. I don't feel like I don't feel the need to do it quite yet. Even though I really do kind of want to. It just also terrifies me a little bit, but I do have the space for it now, which is nice. So it might be something in the future. Like I said, 2023 might be where 3D printing really comes to the channel and we start doing some stuff with that. Let's see. Otto in the comments has asked, or has said, I'm a 40k neophyte. How does one determine rules and abilities on GW's proxy models? I honestly don't know, because I don't run proxy models too often. I know, like, in my local communities, it's just been a matter of, hey, I am running this model as this, and I'm saying it has these weapons, and these are what I'm using them as, and as long as you've described it and it kind of feels like it fits, then my opponents have been chill with it. In regards to like official tournaments, that I don't know, and I would not be able to answer those questions for you, unfortunately. Maybe somebody in the chat would be able to, however. Yes, the gun show. Yeah, there's so much. Dude, we all collect a lot of plastic. It's fine. Like, don't feel too bad about it. Rico asks, do you still play tabletop RPGs? Have we played any D&D, and have I played the Warhammer 40k tabletop RPGs? So to answer your question, currently we are not playing any RPGs. The closest thing that we are doing technically is playing Journeys in Middle-earth, which has been honestly great. It gives me a little bit of that RPG vibe, because like we're collecting equipment, we're leveling up, we're gaining experience, we're able to interact with NPCs and like do some stuff through the app that makes it feel very engaging and feels a little bit more like a light RPG. But we've not been playing any current D&D or any other tabletop RPGs, unfortunately. When we moved our group, well, actually when the pandemic hit, our group just dispersed, and we never got back in with them once the pandemic had happened, or had kind of wrapped up, and like they were feeling comfortable and actually meeting up, because by that point we had moved and it was a little bit too far of a distance for us to justify going. And I've just never been into online role-playing in that way. Like, if I'm gonna play a tabletop RPG, there's something about actually being at the table with the people I'm playing with. Like, and this is not to knock playing it digitally, it's just does not personally appeal to me. I think it's because when I'm at the computer, if I was doing that, I would be... I just think I'd end up getting way too distracted, because I'd have access to the internet, and I don't know if I'd fully be able to focus on the role-playing game, and I would want to if I was doing that. So I always just prefer being actually at the table, and I have not found a place here yet where, like, I found a good group to try to get into a game with. So RPGs are definitely not something we're doing at the moment, but you did ask, have we played the 40k tabletop game? And yes, I have specifically played the Fantasy Flight one. I've played Rogue Trader, and I believe Dark Heresy. And I think those are the two that I've primarily played. Yes. Yes. Have I played Deathwatch? Okay, I've also played Deathwatch once. Oh yeah. God, that was years ago. Yeah, okay, so I've played Death Watch once, I've played Rogue Traeger a couple of times, and I played Dark Heresy, I think, a couple of times. I honestly, like, if I could play a tabletop RPG right now, I think it would be one of those. Like, I would love to play in that system again. I've also perused the Wrath and Glory RPG that came out a couple years ago, and this is prior to its being transferred to a new company, and I think being adjusted and or fixed, because I think Cubicle 7 has it now, and I tried it back when it was not with Cubicle 7, and I can't even remember who had it. All I know is it did not feel like an RPG at all. It really felt like more like a miniatures game with a little bit of a narrative element, but I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy it. I've heard actually very good things though about the Warhammer Fantasy RPG that is currently being published by Cubicle 7. I don't know where they're at narratively, because when I was working at Games of Berkeley, I was buying that and bringing it in for a couple of customers who were into it, and I remember it being interesting because it was like, I think they were in Nordheim, and it was when I last was paying attention. But yeah, no, it was super interesting. All right, I see that we have a couple more questions in the chat. Let's see, I'm just going through everything, making sure I'm not missing anybody's questions as I see you guys. And Adeptus Ridiculous was asking, both for Nemesis. Okay, so you asked if I loved Nemesis. I have only played... Did we play Nemesis? Okay, I've only played Nemesis once. And I felt like we got our butts absolutely kicked because the entire ship lit on fire and there was absolutely nothing we could do about it. It just chain reacted, and because it started like in the center and it just, it was amazing. So yes, I enjoyed it, but we did get our butts kicked, and I honestly, Nemesis is one of those games that I really feel like I need to play with like 3 or more players. I don't know if it worked super well for me personally at 2 players, but I've only played it once, so I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, because I still need to play it a few more times at a 2-player, as a 2-player game to really make that determination. In regards to Nemesis the character, yes, he's cool. All right, for the next question, let's see. Shintaku asks, any new armies you and the cultists are thinking of starting? At the moment, no. Right now, my main focus... Well, actually, I kind of lied. Chaos Cultist is currently probably going to be working on building his Votann army. I don't know how regularly he's going to be playing it, but he's at least wanting and has expressed the desire to build it. Because I did get him the box set recently, so we do have those miniatures. And it's one of the reasons that I'm a little peeved that, that codex is invalid now, because I literally just bought it, Games Workshop. But as for me, I do not plan on currently starting any new armies. My plan and focus is going to be actually to finish filling out my orc army, which I started last year, and kind of have fallen off the face of the planet as the move hit us, and we just have been very, very busy. So I want to really refocus on them. Like I said, I got some Cromlech stuff, so we're going to be adding that into the army. I'm going to be painting them up in my same color scheme, but I think it's going to be really cool to have like this really neat mix of models in the army. And then I actually want to also add a few things to my Death Guard list. I want to paint Mortarion. That is something that is in my brain as something that's coming in the future to the channel. I just haven't decided where to fit him in, but it's going to happen because I want it to happen. I think I'm ready. Like, I've been waiting. I feel prepared. I think it's time. So we'll do that at some point, but I don't think for me I'm going to be starting anything new. Outside of, like, I guess, like, new armies in the sense of new games. Like, I have my Legion army that I've been working on. I have my, oh my god, words. Marvel Crisis Protocol army that I've been working on. So yeah, I think there's like those kinds of things, but as far as like Games Workshop armies, no. Nothing new for me. Mike B asks, would you ever do a collab with other Canadian content creators, like playing board games? I mean, honestly, collabs are definitely an option. I am not opposed to doing collabs, and if they had like travel, like that would obviously be something that need to be discussed, but it's definitely something that I'm open to. I absolutely would be willing to at least talk about it, because I have no qualms about working with other content creators, whether they be US based, Canadian based, UK based. I mean, I work with I haven't recently, but I did do stuff with Russell Talk and Parts of Unknown and No Rules Bard for quite a while last year. So that would, I mean, and I've really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, any collabs that I can do, like if they seem to fit and I have the time for them, yeah, I'm absolutely interested. Any kind of that. Ugh. I have been talking for a really long time, and I can tell that I am slowly getting tired and my words are starting to fail me. Anybody who would be interested in doing a collab with me just needs to preferably reach out through my by emailing me. I do respond to my Instagram messages pretty regularly. Don't message me on Facebook. I do not respond to those. But yeah, so like if you were interested in collabs, absolutely that's the place to reach out. And I think I know playing board games, but I don't know if I do actually, so I'll need to look into them. James Walsh asks that, you're just responding to the Warhammer Fantasy RPG. Yeah, no, it's, you played a Pitfire? That's awesome. Like, I've not played it, but I've read a little bit about it, and I think it looks really cool. I love the art from it. Like, it's the one thing where I'm like, oh, cool, we're still getting a little bit of that old world vibe that isn't just through Total War Warhammer or not Moretime. Vermintide. Dark Tide is coming soon, you guys. I'm so excited for it. Like, I've already signed up for the closed beta, so I will be participating in that. I don't know if any of you guys have, but I would highly encourage it if you're interested in the game, because, you know, it's helpful to the devs and it allows you to play it a little early. And I personally think it's gonna be rad. I hope it's good. Gosh, I hope it's good. All right, we have another question from Otto. Do you think Games Workshop will develop miniatures for 40k naval fleets and do a Warhammer battleship game? So I don't know. If anything were to happen, like if we were gonna get any sort of battleship game back, I really feel like the likelihood of them just bringing back Battlefleet Gothic would be the more logical path, rather than doing a specific like naval fleet. Just because I don't know if that would be as, like, I just don't know if they would be able to make as many models. It would be very cool, because I feel like you don't see like boats done up in 40k style or like with that sort of theming. But I definitely feel like if they were gonna do anything of that style of game and bring it in, it would definitely be just them returning to Battlefleet Gothic, which frankly I personally would love. Like, I actually have a copy of a pretty well put together, there's a couple of broken ships and everything that I bought it secondhand, but it's honestly in pretty good shape. Got it for a great deal too. But I bought it, I actually have a copy of the original, I think it's the original, don't quote me on that now. You see it in the videos on the box behind me. Not this video. I was gesturing behind me, but there's nothing behind me that is games, it's all toys and wrestling. But when I'm doing the news, you can see the box there. It has some of the models in it, but most of them are actually stored separately because I didn't want them to get banged around or shifted, and I packaged them all very gently when I moved them from our previous place to the current place that we're at. But yeah, so I think it'd be more likely for them to bring that back, and I would absolutely love for them to bring it back, because as much as I adore my classic edition, I would love to see those ships redone in plastic and or just like, I don't know, different resin. Because some of them are resin. Some of them are metal though. Like, and that's the coolest thing. Like, I do, as much as I don't miss the cost and the weight of carrying all of those metal miniatures in my bags as I was, you know, carting my army around, I do miss metal miniatures because, dear God, they just did not fall over as much, and I feel like I didn't break them as often. I have this horrible, horrible habit of just accidentally snapping mostly the Chaos Cultist models, and I feel really bad about it every single time it happens. Checking the comments, Supersonic89 has asked, have you played Raiders of the North Sea? So I have not, but I always look at it because I love Renegade games. Like, I think is it Raiders? Raiders is Renegade, right? I'm gonna be horrible and check the internet real quick. Raiders of the North Sea. I think yes. Tell me I'm right, Board Game Geek. But no, I've not played it. Was that the question? Yes, I have not played it, but I always look at it because it looks hella cute. And I'm a huge, if it is Renegade. Pushers. Yes, cool. Okay, nailed it. Was Renegade Studios. I love their games. My favorite from them is Bargain Quest. It was originally a Kickstarter, and then they picked it up to bring it to standard publishing. I have the Kickstarter edition. It's gorgeous. The standard edition is fine. It's just that mine has a fancy foil sleeve over top of it, which makes it shiny on my shelf, and I really like seeing that. It's a delightful little game, and the art is just so cute. I mean, if you haven't realized this, I like two extremes of art. I either like it to be hecka metal or adorable. And if you can combine that, perfect. Which is kind of why I like Cult of the Lamb so much. But Bargain Quest has this just super, super cute art style. If you've ever actually seen the Rolled and Told 5th edition, like, supplement book, I didn't have that art, and I don't know if it's the same artist. I need to look into that because it's just so charming. Adeptus Ridiculous has asked, I know you were adept in 40k, but have you ever played War Machines? Once. I played War Machines and or Hordes. I can now not remember, which I think it was War Machine. I'm gonna say it was War Machine. I played it once, like, way long ago, and it was fine, but for me, I personally am just not as big of a fan of skirmish scale games. It's one of the reasons why, despite my love of all of the products for Kill Team, I've not actually played that much of it, because there's just something about having the larger battles. Like, if I'm gonna take the effort to set up terrain and like paint up an army and do all that, for some reason there's something more satisfying to me about having the full army. And like, and I want that army to have layers within it, and by that I mean I want my infantry to be kind of low, you know, I can have my really short guys, and then I have some like medium tier units, and then I have some big units, because I want that height scale. That's weirdly important to me when I'm list building, and I don't know why, but it just is a thing that I'm really into. So I don't tend to play the smaller games because I feel like I can't get that scale as much, and I can't get that variety as much. Now, that might be completely untrue modernly, because I will admit I have not looked into War Machine or Hordes since the last time I played it, which was in a long time ago, and I want to say like the early 2000s, I think, or mid 2000s. I don't remember when it was. It was just a very long time ago. It was around like after college, but like around that time. So I was young, and I just never really super got into. I also, so here's my other biggest thing with specifically War Machine and Hordes. I have such a massive problem identifying which factions are which, because to me, their models all look a little too homogenous. Like, the elements, and again, this is entirely likely to have changed or just be my bad memory, but I don't recall being really like struck by any one faction in particular, because they all just had the same mass to them and it just all blended together. Let's see. Hello, Josh Yaks from Cambridge. Do you have any favorite fantasy fiction? So I'm not a big reader, but I did, as a kid, read almost all of the Wheel of Time series, so I really have a fondness for that. I've not watched the new TV series. I think I'm going to refuse to, because I want to maintain what I remember of my like enjoyment of that story and not have it ruined by television. But I do just like, in regards to like worlds, there's plenty of fantasy fiction worlds that I really like. I've recently gotten really into just like the Dune aesthetic. And not just because of the movies and everything. I, at one point, did a study abroad program in France. And I actually got to meet Mobius, who is the gentleman that did some absolutely phenomenal concept work for the film that never was to be, that was about Dune, that never happened back in like the 80s or 90s or something. I don't remember when. There's a great documentary about it. I can't even remember what the title of the film is. Somebody in the comments tell me. But he did, like, if you've never seen this man's work, holy shit, it's amazing. This was actually just before he passed away too, which was like crazy. I was at Bande Dessinée festival in Angoulême. It was stunning. I've never had a, like, outside of, I think, Gen Con and really Gen Con, I have never had a more like stunning convention experience or festival thing experience like that. It was amazing. But yeah, he had some really cool art, and so that is when I originally got into the Dune aesthetic, and then I've loved everything that they've done modernly with the movie, because I just think it's really cool. Like, I think they pulled it off pretty well. I do like the Lord of the Rings setting, even though I've not read the books, because I found them really boring as a kid. But I think that was just because I was stuck in, I realized actually recently that what I was reading was, I think, like the preface beforehand, where they were just listing a bunch of like names and relationships, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And moved on, not realizing that that wasn't actually the first chapter, because I was dumb. So yeah, so but I do really like the like setting for it, which is why I'm playing Journeys in Middle Earth right now. If you've not played Journeys in Middle Earth and you like that setting, I would actually highly recommend it as a cooperative board game, because it just, I don't know, I've been having so much fun with it. It's just been so much fun. All right, I do think, because I can feel myself getting very, very tired. I'm going to quickly jump back into a few, I think I have like 1 or 2 questions left on my pre-listed ones. And I think there's like 1 or 2 in here. We're gonna quickly wrap those up, and then I'm gonna call it, because this has been fun, but I am hungry and it's lunchtime now. Yes. So I'm gonna get to a couple more questions real quick. That guy LX has asked, as someone whose main game is AOS, I see a lot of preference for 40k, understandably, as it has more history and is a more popular system. But what is my stance and opinion on the Age of Sigmar system? Having never played Age of Sigmar, I don't have a super strong opinion on the game system itself, but from what I have read about it, I honestly think it sounds fine. I think the main thing that has kept me personally from Age of Sigmar, and this might be the case for a lot of other folks too, but there's just something about the aesthetic of Age of Sigmar that does not quite work for me. And I don't know quite what it is. I think it feels a little World of Warcraft, I think, in regards to how, and I mean this in the modern sense of World of Warcraft, not the like olden days of World of Warcraft, but like in the sense that it's gotten so big, like everybody's on their own, in their own realms, and the world's not really a world anymore. It's like metaphysical or something. Like that bothers me. One of the things that I liked about Warhammer Fantasy and the lore of it is that it was on that one map, and everybody was with everybody, and no one had quite really gotten to that everybody's god tier now. And anytime a system has the model, like the characters in their story, in their narrative and universe, get to that level of just everybody has special powers, everybody has like beefed up, everybody has like this otherworldly supernaturalness about them, that kind of dulls me. And I think that's the main thing that's personally kept me from the system. But as far as like how it seems to play, zero problems with that. I think it looks honestly like a perfectly lovely system. It's really the lore and just how GW has approached and built that world that has prevented me from getting into it. Yay! I'm glad that you made it, Kingsby. Oh, well, thank you, Adeptus. I really appreciate that. Yes, thank you. It was the concept art for, and I do not know how to pronounce his name, Jaworski's? I probably butchered that, I'm so sorry. But his Dune, it's so good. Just look up his artwork for that. I think it's labeled under his pen name Mobius, but if not, it's like Jean something. Just type in Mobius, find out his real name, and then just search his art. It's fantastic. I have a little bit of a heavier question now coming from Sadler BW9. It's pretty clear that, he says, it's pretty clear that you are proud of your body and happy to make it part of your content. Many of your fans, both men and women, enjoy this and like to voice our appreciation. However, I've seen some comments that if I were the recipient, would have made me feel uncomfortable rather than appreciated. Can you talk a little bit about what your personal line in the sand is for comments that make you feel good and confident versus making you feel objectified or creeped out? Everyone is different, and I think it would be good to hear about what you personally like to see, and what you personally like to see, and what is too much in terms of fan commenting or personal appearance-based parts on your content. Thanks, and keep up the great work. Sure, I'm happy to address this. I am quite proud of how I look. I've worked very hard to be as fit as I am, and so I personally, for me, like where I draw the line in the sand is just when people get either just YouTube inappropriate, because this is YouTube. I want to keep things safe and clean for YouTube, but I'm not gonna be offended if somebody just wants to spam, heart eye emojis or something because they like the way that I dressed or something in the video or anything like that. That personally does not bother me. The only time that I really get offended is if it's explicit, and like I said, inappropriate for being on YouTube, or if it's deliberately attacking or derogatory or just trying to be intentionally mean. But otherwise, like, I'm really not that offended by a lot of the comments when people want to talk about how I look. I mean, I prefer, don't get me wrong, for the comments to maintain and be focused on the actual topic of the video that I'm discussing, but I'm not going to just get upset if somebody is like, hey, you look hot in the thumbnail, or I liked your dress, or I really appreciate the focus on your butt as you're walking up the stairs in that one video. That was nice. Thank you. Like that doesn't bother me specifically. So as long as you're keeping it relatively clean, the comments are fine. But like I said, I do prefer that the topics be kept to, what the actual subject of the video is. But I'm not going to be a hardcore police about it unless you're being specifically rude, derogatory, or explicit, because that's really where I draw the line. If you want to be pervy with me, you can always find me where my Only Fanatics go and check that out, because that's the appropriate place for that kind of thing. And then my last question, Yes, or you can find me on Twitter at Hobby After Dark. That is also a great place for the spicy content if you're interested in that sort of thing from me. All right, I'm going to check and make sure that we don't have any more questions here. I do see I have one final one from Rico. You don't really like skirmish games, but have you played Corvus Belli's Infinity and Blood Bowl? Okay, so I've not played Infinity. Infinity, I have the same problem a little bit with War Machines, of where all the factions kind of look the same, and I've never been super drawn into their world, and therefore the game has felt very, like, to me in regards to just something I've been interested in. I also do... Metal Minis are a mixed bag for me, because on one hand, I think you can get some really crisp, clean lines out of them, and the weight of them is very lovely, but I do not think that I prefer them, because the weight of carrying them around, just, even with, like, you know, the strength and everything, I'm not into it. It gets heavy. There's a lot of models eventually. And then in regards to Blood Bowl, I love Blood Bowl. It's so good. So of all of Games Workshop's actual game systems, Blood Bowl is probably my current favorite. I'm a little bit biased because I was playing in a league where I had just a great group of people I was playing against, and I had so much fun. I built my Dark Order team based off the AEW Dark Order back when they were still a thing. And it was a huge, huge blast for me. And I felt like the system really, like, that one works for me because Blood Bowl is mimicking football, which is small scale. So, and because Blood Bowl actually has pretty drastic height differences in their models because of their star players versus, and I know not all of them, but some of their star players are quite large, or they literally have the, you know, huge class. So that really, really works for me. Yes, Blood Bowl all the way. Somebody had asked, I can't remember who now, if I was going to start a new army. That would be the army I would start. If I was going to do anything, it would probably just be expanding my Blood Bowl collection and actually going into maybe a Lizardmen army. Like, I haven't done any Lizardmen army, and I really like painting scales, so that may be something to do. Okay. Joe asks this is my last question. This is the last question. Joe S asks, how have you both been since switching to full-time content creators? Overall happier? And honestly, yes. Like, it's been weird. The adjustment has been very strange because it's weird setting my own schedule for myself and then making myself hold to that. And that has been, I think, the biggest struggle. But I've been doing this for 9 months now, because I stopped and went to full-time for YouTube in January. So I've been doing this for 9 months now, and definitely happier. Definitely still figuring things out, but honestly, yeah, it's been a blast. There's been a huge relief in just not having to necessarily answer to anyone else and being able to have full creative freedom, which is really, really cool. And really, that's thanks to you guys. Like, if you guys weren't here watching our content, you know, sticking around, supporting us, commenting, liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff, like, I don't know if this would feel as good as it does. So just thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here, especially for being here at the live stream. I just want to appreciate you guys for showing up. It was lovely chatting with you. I hope that I got to everybody's questions. This will be up on YouTube afterwards, so if you did miss it, don't worry, you can always watch it again in full length and everything. Yeah, I will definitely be doing some more streaming here in the future. Let's plays, maybe some more chatting. I kind of want to start maybe like a live stream podcast with Chaos Cultist, just discussing some of the things that happen maybe in the Warhammer or just hobby news that we want to extrapolate on further, or just that kind of thing. So be looking forward to potential content like that coming to the future. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye. Ending soon.